has been first in more than just the alphabet when it comes to apprenticeship. In a few short years, we went from about 6% female participation to well over 20%. An upcoming report from New America finds that Alabama has more degree-bearing apprenticeships than any other state. We have the first statewide nursing apprenticeships. We have the first master's degree apprenticeships. Alabama achieved all of these things and many other successes because of a commitment to an employer-driven model of development. In 2023, I attended a CB Exchange conference, stepping in for my friend and colleague Nick Moore. I spoke about Alabama's collaboration with CBN at that time on our 5-part test for in-demand occupations and our work on the Alabama Talent Triad. It took me a couple of days of listening to realize that these were not typical higher ed people. They were describing a new way of doing higher education that aligned perfectly with the principles of apprenticeship. They understood that colleges must view apprentices as employees who are coming to them for professional development and not just students for whom they are seeking occasional work experience. When I recognized this, it was like the old Reese's commercial. They had gotten chocolate in my peanut butter, and I got peanut butter in their chocolate. For more than a decade, CBN has led a national movement to transform education through competency-based learning. Our mission is to center learning on what people know and can do, connect education to workforce needs, and ensure that systems work for both learners and employers. Cookie-cutter degrees do not serve students, and cookie-cutter apprenticeships do not serve employers. If we're serious about reaching that million apprentice goal, I estimate we'll need about 45,000 more employers, and that will only be possible if we can build programs that work for both modern learners and modern employers. President Reagan wisely said, "The best social program is a job." Unfortunately, current reports show that the country is still below the pre-pandemic labor market participation rate of 63.3%. Our national success depends on creating debt-free paths for entering the workforce. In my new role at CBN, I lead the National Project on Apprenticeship Standards and Interoperability, otherwise known as PAISY. PAISY is a national project funded by the U.S. Department of Labor and established through a cooperative agreement with the Alabama Commission on Higher Education. It's a state-led approach to modernize and scale apprenticeship by enhancing the quality and consistency of training, increasing the transparency into what apprentices know and can do, improving the portability of the apprenticeship credential. In addition to supporting the work of PAISY, there are several legislative actions that I ask you to consider, either as independent items or as part of a potential National Apprenticeship Act. First, some actions about scaling. We should move from our current bifurcated system of oversight to fully state apprenticeship agency system. We would find it odd if the U.S. Department of Education were directly overseeing a high school. Why then should the U.S. Department of Labor be directly engaged with apprenticeship sponsors on everything from pay scales to printing completion certificates? Along with supporting state leadership, I ask you to implement a formula funding model for state apprenticeship agencies, something akin to the Perkins model. It is impossible to build a cohesive system when the participants are whipped back and forth chasing grants just to keep the lights on. We need your help also to reduce bureaucracy by requiring the recalibration of apprenticeship council authorities. Over the decades, some councils have taken over program approval responsibilities that was originally designated by the DOL to the state, not to the council. In too many cases, those councils have become barriers, acting in ways that are sometimes self-serving. I'd also ask you to support interoperability over reciprocity in any new legislation that is passed. Reciprocity is ill-defined, and its pursuit is a source of major frustration for employers. Interoperability is the only way to move toward the goal of off-the-shelf registrations. A few ideas about quality. We must remove time gating and move to competency models. There's nothing magical about a minimum of 2,000 hours of on-the-job training. Time does not measure skill. Please don't look at your colleagues at this point, but I bet every one of you could think of a person who's been on the job a long time and is still pretty bad at it. We also must recognize that every job does not require an apprenticeship, and that's okay to say so. Any new national apprenticeship should use a high-impact occupation assessment to determine scalability and suitability. Lastly, not all apprenticeships represent the same depth and breadth of competency. Some are more like a diploma and some are more like a master's degree. This is why I ask you to direct the creation of a process to codify the levelization of apprenticeships. In closing, I'll say apprenticeships should be about the development and demonstration of competency, because demonstrated skills and competencies are the indicators of talent that our employers need and our learners deserve. I thank you all for your invitation to speak this morning, and I'd be pleased to take any questions you might have.
Coach, I introduce
Letitia serves as the Director of Education for the Apprentice School at Newport News Shipbuilding, which I think is almost the premier apprenticeship program in the United States. And we've had a chance to work together since she came to that role in 2018, just in time to help the apprenticeship school celebrate its centennial. She's responsible for the overall leadership, vision, and strategic direction for craft training, academic delivery, student services, accreditation, recruitment, athletics for the student body of 800 folks. Most of the students have previous college experience, at least some before they arrive. Many have previous military service before they arrive, so it's a very special group of students. Before arriving in Virginia, Dr. McCain had leadership positions at 2 different community colleges in Alabama. I guess that's kind of a theme today. She earned her doctoral degrees in urban higher education administration and education administration from Jackson State University and La Crosse University. And I'm so happy that she could come and share her expertise with the committee today. Thank you, Dr. McCain.
Thank you, and roll tide. Just for the Auburn fans here. Chairman Cassidy, thank you for the opportunity to speak to the committee, and Ranking Member Sanders just joined us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the opportunity to testify on registered apprenticeships. Again, my name is Letitia McCain. I oversee the Apprentice School for New Purdue Shipbuilding, a division of HII, formerly Huntington Ingalls Industries. And what's so great about HII is that we spend over $100 million annually on workforce development training and education, from pre-K to K-12, colleges and universities. That's our investment into our community, into our company, into our people. And so that's what's so amazing about HII. The Apprentice School was founded in 1919. It's been around over 100+ years. And what's so amazing about that is that we are actually, we not only have articulation agreements with colleges and universities, but we have our own faculty and staff. That faculty and staff provide the related technical instruction, as well as providing on-the-job training for our 800+ students. We are accredited by the State Council of Higher Education in Virginia, to award associates in applied science degrees, and we're also accredited by the Council on Occupational Education, and we are registered with Virginia Works, as well as the Department of Labor for our certifications. We receive about 3,000 applications for 250 positions. So we are a really apprenticeship program that people want to come to. And as a matter of fact, I think 2 weeks ago, I had about 150 students and their parents at the Apprentice School wanting to learn about the program, traveling from all over the country to find out about the apprenticeship program. And what's so amazing is that the students dragged their parents to be a part of it. And most parents had never heard of the Apprentice School. And it's like, I've saved money I have a GI Bill, I've saved money for college, and you want to go to the Apprentice School? What is it about the Apprentice School? And so to be able to see that we have, our country is at a point in workforce development where young people are making a decision that they want to go to the workforce. They want to be a part of apprenticeship programs. They want to be able to start their career at age 18. About 52% of our students come in at age 18, and so they're walking into middle-class jobs. And when Chairman Cassidy said that they're making upwards of $80,000, yes, we have a 4- and 5-year apprenticeship. And when they complete, they're making about $80,000. Many of them are walking into leadership roles. We also have a sister apprenticeship program, Ingalls in Pascagoula. And it's amazing. I grew up in Mobile, Alabama. And so to be able to have so many of my relatives to call when I first got this job saying, can you get me into the apprentice school at Ingalls? And I'm like, I'm at the apprentice school at Newport News. I'm not at Ingalls. But to be able to see the hunger and desire of parents as well as students wanting to be a part of our program is pretty amazing. I believe that we have what I call best practices around apprenticeships as a company. So we have all sorts of businesses and people coming in to wanting to know how to grow their apprenticeship program, wanting to know what to do in the apprenticeship space. And so that is what makes us so special. So in enhancing and expanding our nation's apprenticeship programs is vital to this effort. So to achieve this, I have a few recommendations. I believe that we need to simplify the registration process for new apprenticeship programs. We need to encourage the use of intermediaries to be able to connect small businesses with the apprenticeship pathways and for them to understand how to register their programs. We need to be able to connect them with community colleges to provide that related technical instruction that is needed in apprenticeships. We need to provide occupational registration flexibility to think outside of the box of just our traditional apprenticeships, putting so many other things into apprenticeships, like teacher education did some years ago. And I also think that we need to implement workforce Pell Grants. That's going to be very important. And it seems as if my time is up. Thank you, and I look forward to answering any questions and being a part of this today.
Brief. Thank you to all of the panelists who are here. I think we all know, I can tell you that in Vermont, we have brought billions of dollars into the state to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure. And you know what? We don't have the skilled workers to actually do the work. In Vermont, and I suspect all over the country, you need a plumber, you need an electrician, hard to find them, okay? So I think and I'll tell you another story. I was in a school in central Vermont, and the kids were all smiling. It was a high school. I was wondering what was going on. They were really happy. And it turns out they have a program there where for half of the day, these kids are going into the real world. They're working, they're earning a good paycheck, and then they come back to school and they feel better about the academics in school. It was a win-win situation. So I think there is bipartisan support for the understanding we need to go forward aggressively to give millions of young people the opportunity to get their hands dirty, to do important work, to make a good living, and to do the work this country needs. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing.
Thank you, Senator Sanders. With that, I'll introduce Gardner Carrick, the Chief Program Officer at the Manufacturing Institute. The Manufacturing Institute facilitates public-private partnerships between employers, educational institutions, and workforce intermediaries. He is creating a new national recognition program for industry-based credentials in manufacturing programs. Mr. Carrick is a graduate of Carnegie Mellon University. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Thank you. Chairman Cassidy, Ranking Member Sanders, and members of the committee, thank you for inviting me today to testify on behalf of the 240,000 companies and nearly 13 million men and women who make things in America. It is an honor to be able to share our insights and experience with you. I'm pleased to be joining 4 individuals who have done so much to make apprenticeship and registered apprenticeship successful in the U.S. Thank you for your efforts. My name is Gardner Carrick, and I am here today representing the Manufacturing Institute, the 501c3 nonprofit workforce development and education affiliate of the National Association of Manufacturers. Through our work alongside manufacturers and through our management of the Federation for Advanced Manufacturing Education, otherwise known as FAME, we bring decades of policy and field experience to this conversation. FAME is a multi-employer apprenticeship model which produces global best technicians. The program today is a network of nearly 500 companies operating in 43 locations across 16 states and employing more than 1,100 current students and 2,700 graduates. The outcomes include an 83% on-time completion rate, a 95% full-time employment rate with sponsoring companies, and an 88% 3-year retention rate for graduates. Those are the numbers, but let me tell you the story. Just this week, I saw a TV news report from Louisville, Kentucky that interviewed a second-year FAME student. He said, honestly, this program has changed my life. It was the exact same thing I heard 2 weeks earlier when I visited the new FAME chapter in Fresno, California. A student told me, FAME is incredible. It has honestly changed my life. He's only 2 months into the program. Apprenticeship does, in fact, change lives. In FAME, we achieve these levels of success because the model is employer-led, which means we teach the skills that employers actually demand. Yes, that includes the technical skills to fix the machines and keep them running, but it also includes the critical thinking skills, the professional presentation skills, the show up every day on time skills. It also means creating a culture, a safety culture where FAME students believe that responsibility is mine and every accident is preventable. A lean culture where FAME students eliminate non-value-added work. And a problem-solving culture where FAME students don't just fix the machine, they solve the problem. All of this is done while teaching FAME students the technical skills to excel in their jobs, which keep American manufacturing running. This is what it means to be employer-led in manufacturing. Today's hearing is about expanding registered apprenticeship. Across our network, only about 15% of FAME students are registered apprentices. Why? The simple answer is that most employers find registered apprenticeship non-value-added work. FAME is successful with or without registered apprenticeship. One company that's been with FAME for 10 years told us recently that they have 39 out of the 42 students that went through FAME still with the company. Another company tells us that their FAME grads reach leadership positions much faster than other hires. There are dozens, if not hundreds, of similar stories. FAME works for this country's manufacturers, creating a pipeline of skilled technicians that they need to succeed. FAME works for the participants as well. Students start at a wage of around $20 an hour and complete the program around $30 an hour. And most of the FAME students are 20 or 21 years old when they graduate. The study's a little dated now, but Opportunity America and the Brookings Institution found that after 5 years after graduation, FAME students were earning just shy of $100,000. The program works for the 83% of students that graduate, launching them on a path to career and economic success. Registered apprenticeship has an opportunity to play a significant role in the growth and scaling of the apprenticeship model in manufacturing. But the program must be value-added, which in manufacturing means it must be employer-led, offer a sensible balance between benefits and costs, and support the infrastructure needs of our education partners to deliver the skills and competencies that manufacturers are actually asking for. We know apprenticeship works. I see it every time I look at the FAME outcomes. I hear it every time I listen to companies like HII describe their success. And I feel it every time I visit FAME students as they describe how that's changed their lives. Thank you for inviting me to testify today, Chairman, and I'm happy to answer any questions when the time comes.
Thank you, sir. I now defer to Senator Sanders.
Mr. Downey joined the operating engineers in 2002 after organizing his fellow co-workers in Eastern Pennsylvania. He was elected president in January of this year and represents over 410,000 union workers. Mr. Downey, thanks for being with us.
Good morning, Chairman Cassidy, Ranking Member Sanders, and members of the Help Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today on behalf of the International Union of Operating Engineers. My name is John Downey, and I'm the General President. As Mr. Sanders says, the IUOE represents over 410,000 operating engineers in the United States and Canada, and is one of this country's largest construction unions. Our union represents members who mainly work in the construction and maintenance sectors. We are heavy equipment operators, mechanics, surveyors in the construction sector, and in the stationary engineers, they maintain commercial buildings, hospitals, high-rises, petrochem facilities, power plants, and more. Each year, we invest over $180 million in training. With our signatory employers, we sponsor 100 apprenticeship and training programs across 107 sites in the United States and Canada, including more than 80 registered apprenticeship programs in the United States. Our commitment to training is embodied in our $200 million International and Training Education Center, ITEC as we call it, located just outside of Houston, Texas. This state-of-the-art 200-acre world-class campus provides comprehensive learning environment with over 8,100 square feet of conference space, modern classrooms and labs, 12-plus crane pads, simulators, heavy equipment mechanic shop, welding bays, and a central utility plant for hands-on training. We currently have over 150 pieces of equipment for training purposes. ITEC includes 227 private dorm rooms, a fitness center, full dining facilities, supporting multi-day and multi-week courses. ITEC was built to supplement and strengthen our local union training centers and is pivotal in enhancing the skill development for a skilled, safe, and productive workforce across various industries. At ITEC, our members receive training on the newest equipment from leading manufacturers, ensuring they learn on the same machines and software used on today's jobs. Our industry partnerships with equipment manufacturers enable us to train on brand new, donated, and discounted or leased equipment, ensuring cutting-edge education. If we want to attract and train more skilled trade apprentices and strengthen recruitment, history shows the best strategy is to fund those projects that create the very jobs we're training to do. This is why we don't overtrain. We strategically train to build America's skilled workforce and ensure we have the right number of operating engineers to meet the construction industry's needs. Finally, I'd like you all to understand and appreciate that when we have a coordinated industry partnership, we can meet the challenges of training workers to be the world's best skilled trades workforce. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you very much. President Booker is a third-generation member of the Laborers Union. He has served as president since 2023 and represents over 530,000 union workers. President Booker, thanks very much for being with us.
Thank you. Chairman Cassidy, Ranking Member Sanders, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. My name is Brent Booker, and I am the General President of the Laborers International Union of North America, where we represent 530,000 of the most productive, skilled, and safest workers in their industry. Thousands of LIUNA members are currently at work on tunnel and energy projects like Gateway in New York and New Jersey, and the Willow Pipeline in Alaska. They're working on power plants, including renewable, nuclear, and fossil fuels, demolition jobs, water systems, wind and solar energy infrastructure, major manufacturing projects like the Intel semiconductor factory in Ohio. Registered apprenticeship is what allows our union to deliver the skilled laborers required to complete this essential construction for our country. Our training system is a product of labor management collaboration. Why would a contractor invest time and money into training the labor if they can just jump to the competition who invested nothing? Our labor management model ensures this does not happen to contractors by providing collective funding for a large pool of skilled apprentices available as needed to all employers who participate. This model has been the gold standard for decades. North America's building trades operate the largest registered apprenticeship training system in the United States, adding an average of roughly 73,000 new apprentices each year since 2018 and investing over $2 billion in training and education programs each year. The only entity that I'm aware of that trains more people than we do is the United States military. It's important to understand that this is a private sector solution to the workforce challenges of our industry. Our apprenticeship programs are funded through collectively bargained agreements. Our members elect to have their money go into training programs instead of on their check. Even the curriculum and training schedules are developed in collaboration with contractors who have the best understanding of the skills required from their workforce and the specific project demands. This enables us to plan trainings up to a year or more in advance of labor demand. Apprentices are only as good as the program they're in, and they're only as successful as the amount of work on which they can find employment. Quality registered apprenticeship, in other words, is fundamentally about supply and demand. Let me speak about the demand side first. In the wake of historic public and private investment, the demand for apprentices has grown substantially in recent years. The number of active LIUNA apprentices increased 33% since 2021. We currently have 35,000 apprentices embarking on a career hoping to become a journey worker laborer, but the future is looking more uncertain. In construction, nothing kills work more than chaos and uncertainty. Chaos like canceling the Gateway project. Chaos like canceling $24 billion of Department of Energy projects set to be built by skilled union apprentices. Chaos like canceling major energy projects that are already 80% complete. And chaos like canceling major hydrogen hubs in Pennsylvania. When the industry has no confidence in the economy, banks don't lend to developers. Developers don't pursue projects. Contractors can't win bids. And most importantly, our members don't go to work. And when our members don't work, they don't earn a paycheck. They lose contributions to their retirement funds, and they lose health insurance coverage. The bottom line is that it can become difficult for our members to provide for their families when this happens. In the last few years, our members and employers have gone from an infrastructure construction boom to an unpredictable series of project shutdowns. This type of chaos hurts the registered apprenticeship system. This industry needs predictability. They need a workforce they can rely on to ensure America's critical infrastructure gets built by highly skilled and trained workers. The industry and the American economy need stability. Now as for the supply side. The supply of safe and skilled workers is our business. It requires significant private investment, a commitment to excellence, and partnership with the business community. We applaud President Trump's executive order calling for the goal of 1 million new active apprentices in the registered system. We agree that there is assistance needed for emerging industries that wish to build their workforce development model. And there are also efficiencies we can find in the registered apprenticeship system, but there aren't any shortcuts. There's no need to reinvent the wheel when the current system is already growing. Maintaining the quality of the registered apprenticeship system is of the highest priority of LIUNA. We believe strongly in a labor management model. I'll look forward to any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everybody. What an important hearing this is. Morning, Mr. Laney. How are you doing?
Is your microphone on, Coach?
Pardon?
Is your microphone on?
Yes, sir, it is.
Maybe pull a little closer.
Can you hear it now? I was getting too comfortable here. Mr. Laney, your apprenticeship program for nurses in Alabama is uniquely successful, and we're in national security risk now with our nurses being a shortage. How come it's so unique?
Thank you for the question. I think the program in Alabama is unique mainly because it was built starting with the needs of the employers. We spoke with our Alabama Hospital Association, Alabama Nursing Home Association. They were the ones that were driving this because they are the ones that are feeling that pinch. They just don't have enough people at the bedside to provide the service that they want to provide. They went and worked directly with our Alabama Community College System and our Alabama Board of Nursing. I have found that our Board of Nursing, I didn't know at the time, but is much more progressive in their thought than a lot of the ones across the country. And our Board of Nursing created a nurse apprentice license that designates the scope of practice for that person so that you don't have confusion about what is this person allowed to do or not do on the job. And because it was designed that way, employers are comfortable putting these people to work, and they get a return on the investment that they're making. We always say that apprenticeship is an employer's investment in their people, and you don't get a return on investment you don't make.
Tell us about what we can do from the federal level to help with the community college system apprenticeships.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that we need within community colleges, intermediaries, to be able to go out and bring the businesses where they're able to work with the community colleges. A lot of times the community colleges don't have the bandwidth to be able to reach out to businesses. They have workforce development departments. They have people that are working in workforce development. But how do we ensure that what the small businesses need, especially around related technical instruction? A lot of your businesses don't know what related technical instruction looks like. They don't know they know what on-the-job training looks like. But how can we get more of the infrastructure around community colleges? And that's done through giving them those intermediaries to work with them.
Thank you. Mr. Carrick, you mentioned.
Senator Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me just start off with a question I think is on the minds of many people. This committee had a hearing on artificial intelligence, and I would throw in robotics. Let me start with you, Mr. Carrick, who are involved in manufacturing. Many of us want to see manufacturing grow in the United States, but from a worker's perspective, it ain't going to mean much if the work is done by robots. What impact do you think robotics is going to have on manufacturing and the ability of young people to get jobs, decent-paying jobs in manufacturing?
Yeah, 2 points. Thank you for the question, Ranking Member. I believe that robotics already play a significant role in manufacturing, and some of the best jobs in manufacturing are those that are operating those robots, are maintaining those robots, and are fixing them when they break. So robotics is a pretty significant element of manufacturing already. When you layer in AI, AI has also been a significant element of manufacturing through vision systems and machine learning. And as we look at Gen AI and how that intersects with manufacturing, when we talk to manufacturing executives, they believe that the best use case for Gen AI is actually in the technician workforce.
All right, you're looking at the positive aspect. I mean, there are other people who will say that the day may come when there'll be very few human beings in a factory. True?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I believe that.
Okay, I want to ask other questions. I know there are differences of opinion on that. Let me ask Mr. Downey and Mr. Booker, what impact are you seeing in terms of job creation? Any concerns about AI or robotics? Mr. Booker, did you want to jump in, or Mr. Downey?
Yeah, look, and that's part of why the registered apprenticeship system works for us, is because we're in collaboration with our employers, right? So as technology happens, we have to embrace it. That being said, yeah, there's some fear over AI taking over humans in the workforce. And I'm here to represent, our members and our future members. And
You're for the humans, right?
I mean, every time I'm for
All right, let me ask, again, the union guys. President Trump has canceled about 100,000 clean energy jobs, and that includes $7.5 billion for 223 clean energy projects. What does that mean to decent-paying jobs? Mr. Downey, do you want to?
Thank you. So those clean energy jobs, they're real hours for us. We've done tens of millions of hours due to the labor standards that were tied to the Inflation Reduction Act. So the shutting down of those projects were a direct hit to our members' learning wages.
Mr. Booker?
It's chaos and uncertainty. When you look at people who take the Revolution Wind example, they were on a barge in the middle of the ocean on Friday, get a stop work order. They've got to get back on shore, and they don't know when their next check's coming. So that uncertainty, that chaos, imagine not knowing when your next check's coming from when you thought you had a job. I've met members in Minnesota who were working on solar who had a 10-year plan that he was going to go from solar project to solar project, who had bought a house, who is raising his kids there, who doesn't know after he finishes this job if he's going to have his next job and where that's going to come from. So imagine the stress. Imagine you don't get your pension benefits, you don't get your health care. The stress that you have as an individual to provide for your family is overbearing.
Right. Mr. Laney, tell us, how extensive is the nursing crisis in this country?
It's massive, sir. The nursing crisis is everywhere. And it's not just nurses. Our hospitals and nursing homes are facing shortages of rad techs and all kinds of other things. And the nursing model for us.
By the way, if I can interject.
Yes, sir.
What will massive cuts in Medicaid mean to nursing homes?
If they don't have any money, they can't pay any people. That's as simple as I can make it. I don't track Medicaid payments very closely. I'm trying to.
But nursing homes are highly dependent on Medicaid payments, are they not?
As far as I understand, yes, sir.
Cut Medicaid payments, you're going to make it harder for nursing homes to survive.
Right.
But go on, talk about the nursing shortage in nursing homes, et cetera, and how do we solve it?
Right. I think we solve it by establishing scalable competency-based apprenticeship programs that are directly tied to the skills that the person needs on the job. And then we make those programs more affordable. In nursing and teaching, both good examples, people are expected to go to work for free for a period of time, and that blocks out a lot of people from participating.
Help me out on this one. One of the problems we're having in Vermont, and I think it's national, we don't have enough nurse educators, people with graduate degrees to train nurses. Is that a problem you're addressing?
Yes, sir, it is, because you got to get them in as nurses before they can become nurse educators.
Right.
So we do look at that full pipeline.
And are you raising salaries for nursing educators so they'll stay in education rather than going into a hospital, for example?
It's actually the other way around. We don't raise salaries. It's up to the employers what they're going to pay, supply and demand. But one of the problems is there are so much higher paying jobs beyond the bedside that people are steadily pulled up out of that. And so employers are having to pay more for those people beside the bed. But as we say, you can't pay your way out of a skills gap. You have to train your way out of a skills gap. And so we look for those opportunities to create options for people to be able to afford to go into those jobs.
Okay, thanks. Thank you all very much.
For the record, I'll note that the One Big Beautiful Bill did not affect nursing homes, just to say that.
The record, it devastated nursing homes.
For the record, we can do that because that's a question of fact, but I challenge you to bring that up.
I will bring it up anytime. When you make massive cuts to Medicaid, when 2/3 of nursing home revenue comes from Medicaid, you devastate nursing homes.
I look forward to your apology. Senator Marshall.
Today, I am just a huge fan of registered apprenticeships. I will share that I have bragging rights as a senator from Wisconsin. We were the first state to pass an apprenticeship law back in 1911. And it is certainly a model for other programs across the country. It was not until 1937 that the U.S. followed suit and passed our national apprenticeship laws. And they haven't particularly been modernized since that time. I lead a bipartisan bill to do that. But look, to grow our economy, to expand the middle class, to meet business workforce demands, we need to make sure that workers have access to the skills training to land these good paying jobs. And registered apprenticeships are going to be a centerpiece for that. But continued growth and success of apprenticeship programs depend on there being job openings for apprentices to fill. And I want to shine a spotlight again on the unprecedented uncertainty that we are seeing right now associated with federal funding This uncertainty directed by the Trump administration is completely unacceptable. Even grants for infrastructure and energy projects that have already been awarded are no longer a sure thing, putting the jobs created in jeopardy. The administration's stated goal is to enroll 1 million new apprentices. And if they want to work together to reach that goal, then sign me up. But we will not get there by canceling billions of dollars in projects and scrapping tens of thousands of jobs. As just one example, the city of Milwaukee just lost $34 million in funding and 450 jobs because Republicans voted to rescind a grant for streetscape improvements in their big, ugly bill. President Booker, you've talked a bit about this in your opening statement, so I'm going to first ask President Downey to sort of talk a little bit more about current uncertainty related to federal funding impact registered apprentice programs.
Thank you for the question. So the one great thing about our apprenticeship programs, it allows us to scale or pull back on apprentices as we look at the forecast of work that's upcoming. My home locals, eastern half of Pennsylvania, is probably a similar experience or example that you just said. Huge project in an area that's pretty rural. Our local, ahead of time with our partnership with our employers, we look at the work forecast, knew this big $25 billion project is in the pipeline. We raised our apprenticeship levels by 65% in 2 years in a row to be prepared to do that. So the uncertainty that creates just in the construction industry when a job like that is pulled, it has that ripple effect for us because now we have a bunch of students in our apprenticeship program that we're now trying to find work for. And when you don't have work for them, they end up finding work somewhere and then they go out of the program. I mean, that's just not good for the industry.
Appreciate it.
As Lieutenant Governor, and Ohio has the third most apprenticeships of any state in the country, over 26,000 in our state, number one in the Midwest. We know that the changing work environment is a place where employers value skills over degrees, so helping more individuals become apprentices, earn credentials, certainly very good. What I love about the apprenticeship model is the earn while you learn aspect of it, is that people can, they don't have to pay tuition to get a job. They actually get paid to learn and go to work, which is a model that I think America would benefit from. Even in Ohio, we created that process for teachers to do an apprenticeship into becoming a teacher rather than having to go get a 4-year degree. I think one other thing that we did here recently is Workforce Pell, allowing Pell Grants to be used for workforce credentialing. We did that in the budget reconciliation bill. So
thank you all for coming here. Mr. Downey, I wanted to start with you. I was struck by something in your testimony. You said, quote, our model works best when there is funding for projects to put our members to work. You go on to say, if we want to attract and train more skilled trade apprentices and strengthen recruitment, history shows the best strategies to fund the projects that create the very jobs they're training to do. This is why we don't overtrain. And what I take away from that, and I think this is an important nuance, is the importance of that calibration, right? That sense of making sure that the pipeline is there so that you can ensure that there's a job ready for them afterwards. Is that right?
Thank you, Senator. Yes, that's correct. The system is designed today to be able to have enough people in the workforce when they're needed. And then when they're not needed, we're not bringing new apprentices in and they're not working.
And your work there needs to be in terms of calibrated. You're assessing what are the needs that are out there and trying to understand and trying to meet where the number of jobs need to land to be able to meet those needs, right?
That's correct. And we don't just do it with our signatory employers. We do it with all stakeholders. We get the input directly from the owner-client community as well.
I think what I really take away here is not just in terms of, yes, we need to do more to be able to increase that demand, efforts like what we did with the bipartisan infrastructure law. But you also talk about uncertainty. Both you and Mr. Booker have talked about this. And, for instance, I just think about it in terms of my own home state. Right now we have the largest construction project in our region is there, but there's a lot of uncertainty about the Gateway Tunnel project right now because we're just not certain what exactly is happening when the president says he wants to terminate it, when we hear from the Department of Transportation that, things are hopefully going to continue on. We got workers there from both of your unions still working on that on a day-to-day basis. I'm trying to do everything I humanly can to make sure that that's keeping forward. But I'll be honest with you, the uncertainty is deeply frustrating. And I guess I just wanted to ask you, I'll start with you, Mr. Downey, just when you're seeing that kind of uncertainty, when you see this type of just politicization sometimes of our infrastructure, how does that affect your calibration? How does it affect your ability to try to understand what the needs are?
Well, I think it really, when we're having the discussion that we want to attract the younger generation into our field or our line of work, when they see that instability, I think it makes them look somewhere else. So it creates not necessarily a roadblock, but some apprehension in when they want to consider what career path to head down.
So